Domestic and foreign car companies are making moves to deal with the new taxes. From production changes to price fluctuations. From price changes to production pauses. Domestic and foreign automakers are all reacting differently to the Trump administration's sweeping 25% tariffs on vehicles imported to the United States, which have now taken effect. Tariffs on imported car parts, such as engines and transmissions, won't start until May 3rd. Trump's wide-ranging, reciprocal tariffs also won't apply to the auto industry, meaning they won't be tacked onto the 25% tax. How automakers respond to the tariffs is expected to evolve over the coming days and weeks. But we've compiled a list of what we know so far. We'll monitor the situation and update the list below as new information is reported and released. Last updated 11:25 a.m. Eastern Time on May 1st, 2025. For more information on the evolving auto tariff situation, click here to read Car and Driver's comprehensive coverage. Update April 29, 25. President Trump has signed 2 executive orders that aim to ease the burden of tariffs for automakers that build cars in the United States but import parts from outside the country. While the tariff on imported parts will still go into effect at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, May 3rd, one of the orders lowers the levies on foreign-made parts if the vehicle is built in America, to avoid stacking tariffs on single models. The other order states that models subjected to the 25% import tariff won't be taxed for other tariff-eligible parts, such as imported aluminum and steel. Update the 9th of April 25. The Trump administration has announced it's placing a 90-day pause on most of its so-called reciprocal tariffs while still implementing a 10% base tariff on most goods. However, the pause doesn't apply to the 25% auto tariffs. Aston Martin. Due to Trump's tariffs, Aston Martin will limit the number of vehicles that it imports to the United States and instead rely on its existing dealer inventory. That's according to a report by Bloomberg News, which cites a statement by Aston Martin CEO Adrian Hallmark, who also said the company won't pass the full tariff costs onto its customers but also won't cover them completely. Audi. Last updated April 7, 2025. Audi is reportedly halting all U.S. imports, according to a report by a German news outlet. This comes after the automaker decided to hold all models imported to the U.S. after April 2nd at the ports. Per a report by Automotive News. Meanwhile, Audi models imported before April 3rd will still make it to dealer lots, with an also reporting that the automaker is identifying non-tariffed models with no added import fee and a $0 option code on their invoices. Car and Driver has reached out to Audi for comment, and while they didn't address the above reports, a spokesperson shared an official statement from Audi's parent company, VW Group. Here's an abridged version. The Volkswagen Group, and therefore also Audi AG, has taken note of U.S. President Trump's decision to impose tariffs of 25% on all imports of passenger cars and light commercial vehicles into the United States. We are closely monitoring developments and will comprehensively assess internally the potential impact on supply chains and our production network. We share the assessment of most experts that U.S. tariffs and any counter-tariffs will have negative consequences for growth and prosperity in the U.S. and other economic areas. At the same time, we continue to advocate constructive talks between the trading partners in order to ensure planning security and economic stability and to avoid a trade conflict. BMW. Last updated April 30, 2025. BMW reportedly won't raise prices until the end of June on most imported models. That's according to a memo to U.S. dealers. As reported by Automotive News. That same report also claims that the prices of the 3 Series sedan and 2 Series coupe, including the M2, which are built BMW's factory in San Luis Potosi, Mexico, will see their prices rise by 4% starting in May. BMW is also reportedly postponing production of its electric vehicles in May. Car and Driver reached out to a BMW spokesperson, who said, "Please understand that this story stems from an internal memo that was shared with our dealers. We have no further comment or information to share at this time." Chrysler. Last updated April 23, 2025. Chrysler, one of several brands under the Stellantis umbrella, has resumed production of the Pacifica and Voyager minivans, which are exclusively built in Windsor, Canada. Dodge. last updated April 23, 2025. Like Chrysler, Dodge is also owned by Stellantis, and it has resumed production of the Canadian-built electric Dodge Charger Daytona, which is built in Windsor, Canada. Ferrari, last updated April 3, 2025. The Italian marque was one of the first automakers to respond to the tariffs. By doing so, it raised prices for some of its most potent models by 10%. The affected Ferraris include the Purosangue SUV, the 12-cylinder Grand Tourer, and the F80 hypercar. However, other Ferrari models such as the 296 GTB, the Roma, and the SF90 are spared the surcharge. GM, last updated April 4, 2025. General Motors consists of several brands: Cadillac, Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC. Car and Driver reached out to a GM spokesperson for comment on the company's response to the tariffs. And they referred us to a statement from GM's trade association, the AAPC, which read, U.S. automakers are committed to President Trump's vision of increasing automotive production and jobs in the U.S. and will continue to work with the administration on durable policies that help Americans. In particular, it is critical that tariffs are implemented in a way that avoids raising prices for consumers and that preserves the competitiveness of the integrated North American automotive sector that has been a key success of the President's USMCA agreement. While no GM brand has officially announced any price changes, Chevy and GMC are reportedly increasing production of the light-duty Silverado and Sierra at the factory they share in Fort Wayne, Indiana. According to Reuters, GM's full-size trucks are also built in Canada and Mexico, and those locations reportedly account for about half of their total production. By shifting some of that capacity to its U.S. operations, Chevy and GMC should be able to offset some of the new tariff costs. Ford, Lincoln, last updated April 30, 2025. Ford is combating the tariffs by offering an employee discount to everyone. As reported by Reuters, called From America, for America, the plan, which was originally set to run through June 2, has now been extended through July 6. The list of eligible vehicles includes 2024-2025 Ford and Lincoln models, excluding certain ones that are built in the U.S., such as Ford Expedition and Lincoln Navigator, as well as Ford's off-road ready Raptor variants. Genesis, Hyundai, last updated April 4, 2025. Hyundai has announced that it won't raise prices on its current lineup of new cars for at least 2 months. This comes a day after the Korean automaker confirmed that it will no longer offer free complimentary maintenance on 2026 and new models. Called the Customer Assurance Program, it's a direct response to the new U.S. tariffs, and Hyundai says it will be in place until June 2. Genesis has announced the same thing, only its program is called Genesis Cares. Kia, which is also a subsidiary of the Hyundai Motor Group, hasn't announced a program of its own, but Car and Driver has reached out to a Kia spokesperson for comment. Mike Song, the global head of Genesis, previously confirmed to Car and Driver that the brand isn't planning on raising prices right now, but eventually it will have to pass costs on to customers. Hyundai's co-CEO, Jose Munoz, also reportedly said the Korean automaker doesn't have any immediate plans to raise prices. According to Reuters, Honda, last updated April 16, 2025, Honda will relocate production of the Civic Hybrid from Japan to the United States. That's according to a report by Bloomberg News, which cites a Honda spokesperson who said the move was partly related to Trump's tariffs. Production of the hybrid Civic will be moved to Honda's factory in Indiana, and the transition should take place sometime in June or July. Honda has also denied reports that it's planning to relocate some of its factories in Canada and Mexico to the United States. As first reported by Nikkei Asia, Honda hasn't announced any price changes, production pauses, or halted imports due to the tariffs. A company spokesperson referred Car and Driver to Honda's trade associations. And here's a statement from Jennifer Safavian, President and CEO of Autos Drive America. Tariffs on imported autos and auto parts will have a tremendous impact on the entire U.S. auto industry. Our member companies, which operate 31 manufacturing facilities across the United States, have spent the last 40 years building the highly integrated supply chains that power North American auto manufacturing. It is impossible to rebuild those supply chains in a matter of weeks, especially with the added financial burden of tariffs. While we share the president's goal of bringing more manufacturing to the United States, we must do so in a way that protects American manufacturing jobs, supports suppliers, provides affordable options for consumers, and allows the industry to remain competitive. INEOS. Last updated April 4, 2025. INEOS, which only makes 2 models, both of which are exclusively built at a single factory in France, is getting hit especially hard with tariffs. That's because in addition to the 25% chicken tax, a long-established surcharge for light trucks imported into the U.S., the brand's quartermaster pickup truck is also subjected to the new 25% tariff on all vehicles imported into the country. The latter also applies to the Grenadier SUV. Now, INEOS has announced it has to raise prices, but not as much as we may have thought. The Grenadier's prices only rise up to 5%, whereas the Quartermaster's price will be up to 10% higher. INEOS also said that orders placed before April 3rd would not be affected by the price hikes. The same goes for inventory already on dealer lots. Infiniti. Last updated April 4, 2025. In response to the tariffs, Infiniti has indefinitely paused production of the QX50 and QX55 SUVs built at its assembly plant in Aguascalientes, Mexico, per a report by Automotive News. The outlet also reports that Nissan said production of the QX50, QX55 sold in other countries will continue. The AN story says its source believes the US-bound compact crossovers will only restart production if the 25% tariff is lifted or decreased. Earlier this year, it was reported that Infiniti plans to kill the QX twins and essentially replace them with a 2-row, coupe-like version of the larger QX60. Jaguar Land Rover. Last updated April 7, 2025. JLR, which consists of the Jaguar and Land Rover brands, has announced that it's halting imports to the United States. As reported by Reuters, the pause, which is expected to last for a month, is intended to help the company plan how to address the 25% tariffs on U.S. auto imports. Car and Driver has reached out to a JLR spokesperson about the situation. And this is the company's official statement. The USA is an important market for JLR's luxury brands. As we work to address the new trading terms with our business partners, we are enacting our planned short-term actions, including a shipment pause in April, as we develop our mid to longer-term plans. Jeep. Last updated April 4, 2025. Jeep is owned by Stellantis, which has announced that it's now offering employee pricing for everyone. It's the same deal that Ford is running through June 2nd. However, Stellantis's discounts will only extend through April 30th. 2 Jeep models will also be affected by a production pause. According to a report by the Detroit Free Press, the Compass compact SUV and electric Wagoneer S, which are both imported from Mexico, will stop being built for the month of April. Kia. Last updated April 7, 2025. Unlike Hyundai and Genesis, which exist under the same corporate umbrella, Kia hasn't announced plans to avoid raising new car prices for the next 2 months. Car and Driver reached out to a Kia spokesperson, who didn't address the lack of a pricing announcement, but instead shared this statement. Hyundai Motor, including Kia, Hyundai, and Genesis, remains committed to the long-term growth of the U.S. automotive industry through localized production and innovation. With nearly 4 decades of investment in America, including a new $21 billion commitment, Hyundai Motor Group is expanding U.S. production to 1.2 million vehicles across Alabama, Georgia, and our new Meta plant in Savannah, making the majority of our U.S. sales locally built. Hyundai Motor Group and its subsidiaries employ more than 570,000 people in America and will create and support more jobs from its latest investment. Mazda. Last updated April 15, 2025. Mazda has confirmed to Car and Driver that it won't raise prices on any vehicles sold in the U.S. until at least May 1st. Mercedes-Benz. Last updated May 1st, 2025. Mercedes has announced that it's bringing a new high-volume model to its factory in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which is where the automaker builds many of its SUVs. The U.S. production of the new model will start in 2027. and it appears to be a response to the Trump tariffs. The primary candidate for the production shift is the GLC class compact SUV, which is Mercedes' best-selling import. Mercedes will absorb the tariff costs on 2025 models for an undisclosed time, which means the company doesn't immediately plan to raise prices on vehicles affected by the import tariff. Car and Driver confirmed the news with a Mercedes spokesperson, who shared this statement: "We recognize the importance of consistency and transparency for our customers and dealer partners and are committed to maintaining current MY25 pricing until further notice. Any customer who currently orders a MY25 Mercedes-Benz can be assured this price will not change. We continue to monitor the situation closely, are evaluating all options, and will adjust to changing market conditions and the competitive landscape if needed." It has been reported that Mercedes-Benz is considering plans to stop importing its least expensive models. The GLA class subcompact luxury SUV and CLA class subcompact sedan, which currently start at $42,400 and $45,550, respectively, would most likely be impacted. However, a Mercedes spokesperson refuted the initial Bloomberg report, telling Car and Driver that it's focused on continued sales growth. Mitsubishi. Last updated April 14, 2025, Mitsubishi has paused all deliveries to its 330 U.S. dealerships. According to a report by Automotive News, the report says that Mitsubishi currently has a roughly 100-day supply of tariff-free cars already in the country. The brand imports every model it sells in the United States from Japan but says it won't change pricing on tariff-free inventory already in the US. Nissan. Last updated April 3, 2025, Nissan said it wants to help customers face a challenging car buying landscape, so it has reduced prices on two of its best-selling models. The Rogue compact SUV receives price cuts of between $640 and $1,930. The larger three-row Pathfinder's prices are also lowered by $670 to $1,170. Both models are primarily built in the US and Tennessee. Some Rogues are also built in Japan. However, Nissan's most affordable models, the Kicks, Sentra, and Versa, are all imported from Mexico, so it remains to be seen how their prices will be impacted. Ram. Last updated April 4, 2025. Ram, which is owned by Stellantis, is offering employee pricing for all customers on eligible models. Unlike the same deal Ford is currently offering through June 2, Stellantis said its discounts will only extend through April 30. Subaru. Last updated April 7, 2025. Subaru hasn't announced any price changes or production pauses due to the tariffs. A company spokesperson told Car and Driver that Subaru has nothing to share at this time. Toyota. Last updated April 4, 2025. Toyota, one of the world's largest automakers, has not officially announced any plans to respond to the tariffs. However, Nikkei Asia has reported that Toyota's North American branch has told major parts suppliers that the company will help cover the costs brought on by the tariffs, which will extend to parts starting on May 3. A Toyota North America spokesperson told Car and Driver that the company isn't making any statements at this time on the situation. Volkswagen. Last updated April 30, 2025. Volkswagen has promised not to raise prices on any vehicles sold in the United States until at least the end of May. Earlier this month, Volkswagen reportedly paused all U.S. imports. According to a report by a German news outlet, Automotive News also reported that VW will pause rail shipments of vehicles imported from Mexico, while water shipments from that country and Europe will continue, for now. The sub-$30,000 Jetta sedan and Taos SUV, as well as the best-selling Tiguan, are all imported from Mexico, while the Golf GTI hatchback, the racier Golf R and the electric ID Buzz minivan come from Germany. Volvo. Due to the tariffs, Volvo is reportedly removing the S90 sedan from its lineup after the 2025 model year. According to a report by Automotive News, the S90 is built in China, and imports from the country are currently being hit with a 125% tariff.